I'll admit, I was never a big Godzilla fan to begin with, and I know about the bare minimum about Godzilla and its lore. But I found the divide that Godzilla King of the Monsters made amongst the Godzilla fans kind of interesting. You have one side of the fandom saying it wasn't a great Godzilla movie due to such and such, and then you have another side saying the movie is amazing and exactly what they'd ever want to see from a movie dealing with Godzilla. Which kind of reminds me about the stuff that happened with Star Wars The Last Jedi, but either way, here's my take on the movie for someone who likes the idea of Godzilla, but I wouldn't call myself a Godzilla fan by any means. So do keep that in mind, as this review is not biased in any way. Now, I'll start off by saying this movie gets one thing right, and that's the cinematography and the visuals, which in my opinion are absolutely beautiful. Some of the shots that this movie has, even without much to any use of the CGI, are very easy on the eyes, let's just say that. It felt, how can I say this, very global. It felt like a very global type of movie. You see so many different types of landscapes, from snowy plains, deep under the ocean, tropical and urban settings, and even a very cool ancient temple, which I thought were all shot rather well. Granted, I wouldn't go as far as to call the cinematography masterful, but it was nonetheless very well done and impressed me for what this movie was. The CGI layer elements only enhanced those scenes too, and each of the monsters in the movie looked really good. There are some scenes later on that have an overabundance of CGI and shaky camera work, which normally I'm not a big fan of, but I thought worked quite well for what was going on in the movie here. Point in check, this all made the monster fights very believable and almost kind of made you feel like you were right in the thick of it. Oh, and the music I'd say gets an honorable mention as well, as it was just, perfect. Now the actual movie, that's where things get a little bit messy. The first act sees all the attention focused on the human characters, which all seem boring and you don't really care for. I had some big expectations for Millie Bobby Brown, as I thought she was going to be the most interesting character out of all the humans, but to my surprise that wasn't the case. Because really, none of them were. I mean, she did fine in her role and what she was supposed to do, but I can't say that she won me over at all. As for Godzilla himself, we unfortunately only get to see glimpses of him here and there in a quick fight scene that's over in a few minutes at best. As for the second act, I can't comment too much on that, as I doze off halfway through. That should kinda give you an idea that it's not the most interesting portion of the entire movie. It again is heavily focused on the human characters and their drama, which really isn't why I went to go see a Godzilla movie for in the first place, but it's there. Now as for the third act, then hardly any complaints there, as that's when stuff really starts getting good. It's non-stop heart-pounding action at that point of a big proper monster battle and a lot of eye candy. Really, I can't oversell of just how much CGI eye candy is present in the final battle. The mind-blowing visuals there are worth the price of admission alone in my book. Overall, I'd say this is your typical summer action flick with Godzilla and friends thrown into the mix. Had we seen more of the different monsters battling out and for longer, then I think it would have done a lot better for itself. Instead, way too much focus is put on the uninteresting human characters and their drama, not to mention that the movie has its fair share of tropes and use of plot armor for the humans. As for the actual Godzilla lore, I can't exactly comment on that as, again, I'm no expert in that field. Although I did find it kind of stupid how one of the monsters apparently has a sort of a relationship with Godzilla, but yet the two have never met before because that monster was literally just born earlier in the movie, so I don't know how that part works. Maybe it's part of the Godzilla lore or not, I don't know, but I felt the whole relationship aspect was poorly executed. Now, should you go see this movie if you're not a Godzilla fan, then yeah, definitely, just for the third act alone. But be prepared to stock up on caffeine to get you through that second act, as it's pretty rough. But that was my take on Godzilla, the King of the Monsters. Hopefully you found it enjoyable and informative. And if you saw the movie, do let me know in the comments down below if you liked it, hated it, or were somewhere in between, as I'm always interested to hear what you all have to say. As always, I'll see you guys on the next one.